The response of the traditionalists emphasized a hierarchical order within society. Respect for rank and special privileges was necessary to maintain liberty. For Montesquieu, Blackstone and Burke, the English Constitution in the 18th century ensured that this important balance of power and privilege would be passed on to generations of Englishmen as their birthright. The nobility would protect the crown and the people if they, the nobility, were allowed special privileges in exchange. As for Parliament, so far from being at the disposal of the electorate, traditional theorists reasoned, Lords and Commons were autonomous, their power safely beyond the reach of the king or the people. Therefore, the question was not how Parliament should be reformed, but more particularly, who should reform it. Edmund Burke had no faith in the innate rationality of the people. He gave voice to an older, more traditional skepticism about man's capacity to reason. Parliament did not need the approval of its electorate. Its legitimacy grew out of its longevity, out of generations of Englishmen expressing their collective will across the centuries. So that Parliament now existed in its own right, invulnerable to restless demands for change in this age or that. Edmund Burke could be roused to a jealous protection of parliamentary rights whenever he felt they were threatened either by the monarch or by the people. In the last half of the 18th century, Burke felt that the threat came from both, and finally, most threateningly, from the people, especially the dissenters, who were demanding parliamentary reforms. The House of Lords was comprised of lords who inherited their seats. The House of Commons represented a minuscule fraction of the English population. It was possible for 15,000 votes, that is 0.5% of the adult male population, to choose a majority. In addition, certain powerful lords had numerous seats in the Commons at their disposal. It was estimated that 144 powerful individuals could, in fact, return a majority of the House. The commercial middle classes of newly industrialized England were unrepresented. No town had received borough rights or rights to representation since 1678, leaving the new industrial centres of Manchester, Leeds and Birmingham disenfranchised. Parliament thus sat with little representation of England's influential dissenting population, all of whom were also proscribed by the Test and Corporation Acts from holding any crown appointment in civil government, or belonging to any municipal corporation in a borough, or holding Oxford or Cambridge University degrees. Until these laws were repealed, the dissenting community of Presbyterians, Baptists and Independents were segregated from the civil life of the community. For the most part, dissenters were solidly middle-class patriots who established their own prestigious dissenting academies in the industrial communities. These vocal centers continually sent petitions of a repeal to Parliament and argued for the establishment of a secular state on the model of the American government, which would give equal protection to all churches and confer an equal status on all citizens.